My question is to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy. Why is it important to have an energy plan for this critical decade? How does this compare with other approaches? And why is it important to be upfront and honest with the Australian people?
Call to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy.
Well, I appreciate very much the question from the honourable member for Jagga Jagga, Mr Speaker. And of course, the honourable member asked about our energy plan, and today we've seen AEMO release the Integrated Systems Plan, which is a concrete, detailed, modelled analysis of what our energy system needs and what our government will deliver. And of course, in 5 days' time, we also deliver $300 in energy bill relief to every Australian with an energy bill, Mr Speaker. And of course, all this is critical. And what else is critical? For investment in Australia, for investment in jobs, for investment in our energy system, is being part of the international framework of climate and energy. And of course, an important part of that is being part of the Paris Accord. And we've seen a particularly stark comparison in approaches here over the last couple of weeks. The Leader of the Opposition 2 Saturdays ago told the Australian newspaper he'd rip up the 43% target. And of course, Mr Speaker, that would put us in breach of the Paris Accord and put us in the company of Iran and Yemen and Libya, Mr Speaker. Great investment destinations, Iran, Libya and Yemen. But we now know, reading in The Guardian, that this was accidental. It takes some doing to accidentally breach an international treaty, but I hand it to the Leader of the Opposition. There was a flurry of phone calls, we now know. Maybe the Leader of the Opposition rang the member for Fairfax and said, "Honey, I shaped the Paris Accord," Mr Speaker, as they dealt with the accident that he created. But this is what we get when we get energy policy on the run and details made up by the Leader of the Opposition. It was just a year ago. He said, and I quote, the Leader of the Opposition said, and I quote, "I don't support the establishment of big nuclear facilities here at all. I'm opposed to it." Well, I'd hate to see what he would do if he was for it, Mr Speaker, because he's announced 5 of them a couple of weeks ago. And when it comes to detail, just in the last 2 weeks, on 5 separate public occasions, in 5 separate interviews, the Leader of the Opposition has said, when asked about waste from nuclear facilities, he said, well, with a small modular reactor, you get 1 can of Coke a year worth of waste, Mr Speaker. 1 can of Coke. Now, I heard it the first time, I thought, oh, everybody can make a mistake. You know, everybody can misspeak once. We won't make an issue out of that. 5 times he said it, Mr Speaker. And what is the real figure based on analysis from Rolls-Royce, the company of the Leader of the Opposition has approvingly quoted? It's 12,500 cans of Coke a year from a small modular reactor, Mr Speaker. You're just 12,499 out, Mr Speaker. So this is what we get when we get a Leader of the Opposition who's not across the detail of this important policy area, who's making it up as he goes along, and is letting the member for New England and Senator Canavan and the member for Hinckley and the Leader of the Nationals write their energy policy. When you let the Nationals do energy policy in Australia, Mr Speaker,
the Minister will pause. The member for Deakin will leave the chamber on 94A. The Minister will refer to members by their titles. There is far too much noise. It's going to stop right now. And the Minister has 22 seconds remaining.
When you let the National Party near energy policy, Mr Speaker, what you get is an anti-renewables policy for this country. You get the most expensive form of energy. You put Australia in the company of Libya, Yemen and Iran, but apparently it all happens by accident.